My name is Sheila Tabaka. I am the costume designer at Southwest Minnesota State University in Marshall, Minnesota. I direct one of the shows a year, and I either oversee or design and construct all the costumes for all the productions. The last production that we did on our SMSU main stage was a production of The Heiress. It is based on a Henry James novel called Washington Square, and I was the director and the costume designer for that production. One of the reasons that I pick The Heiress is because I'm the one who directs a lot of the kids shows, and I direct almost all the musicals here, and those are all lighthearted, and they're similar for me, most of them, and I really wanted to do something that was very different. It was a non-musical year for us, so Nadine Schmidt and I, we talked about it, and we tried to do a balance of our season, and so she did the Triangle Factory Fire project in the fall, and then we did Dead Man's Cell Phone, and then we did a new kind of show for us, a reader's theater called Love, Loss, and What I Wore, and then I did The Heiress. But they were all very empowering to women, and that became our banner for last season, was this empowerment to women. And of course, Catherine in The Heiress is a very strong woman.
Working on The Heiress was kind of one of the biggest things I've ever done. But working on this production was also very rewarding. I got to learn how to troubleshoot a lot of stuff I've never touched before. But it's also really fun because you learn how to find little tricks that work for you that, oh, the pattern says to do it this way, but if I do it that way, it looks the same. It's a lot easier. And then you can take these skills and help other people learn and translate them to all the other parts of your sewing career. And you kind of learn how to take the pattern as a guideline rather than the exact rules is how it works. And it's just a lot of fun because the more you sew, the more you learn. The more you learn, the better you get. The better you get, the easier things become.
Whenever we start a show, the first thing we have to do is look at the script. Everything has to come from the script. Even if you change something, you have to know where it started. And so that was my choice in picking the script. But then I had to do a little bit of back research. So last summer I read Washington Square, so I knew what the basis was. I watched the film an amazing amount of times, so I had that kind of reference. And then we start doing research on the era. What are we looking at? What kind of people are they? So all those costumes have to be different. What time of year is it? All that stuff has to be brought into perspective. Once we get all of that research done, then I'll make up research boards or I'll do renderings. So then when we get into the shop, then we're buying fabric. And with the Heiress, we had a whole bunch of understructure. These women are wearing corsets. They're wearing these huge hoop petticoats. And so we had to buy all that stuff too. So they were wearing boots and these gigantic crinolines right when we first started, we were done with blocking and started working through the show. So they're wearing jeans and these huge, huge petticoats, but it was really helpful for them to see how to sit and move and things like that. It's a long process. I mean, it really takes, if you think about when we started it to when we completed it, it was about a year. The costumes for The Heiress have had a really full life. When we did the show in April, we thought that's what it would be because that's what all of our shows are. You do the show is done, you send the clothes to the dry cleaners, they come back, you put them in stock, and then we may or may not ever see them again. And when The Heiress was finishing its run, my colleague Nadine Schmidt got a message on Twitter that there was a company in London that was interested in borrowing these dresses, and we worked it out so that they could borrow 2 of the dresses. We figured out a way to get it to them. Jim and Marian Zarzana, 2 English professors here at SMSU, were going to London, so they took this tiny box and delivered the costumes 2 of the costumes to the new stagers in South London. So really, really exciting stuff for the theater program. And the 2 dresses they get to have another little life.
I was flabbergasted that people had asked from London. I was like, because we had started this Twitter campaign and this Facebook campaign to show the world what we do in the costume shop. Because there's a lot of work that goes on. But then to hear that somebody from London loved our dresses so much, they wanted to take them from us and bring them to London to put in their show was fantastic. Like, I swear that I would have dropped to the ground if I hadn't been sitting. It was an amazing feeling to hear that somebody from England wanted our small town costumes.
The way that I got into costume design was when I was going to school in Wisconsin. I was at a two-year center, and a new director had come in, and she was directing a show, and she didn't have a costume designer, and we didn't have any. I mean, we were all 19 years old, and nobody knew that that's what they wanted to do. And she looked at me and she said, "I really need you to do this because I don't have anybody else who can do it." And so I kind of fumbled around. I mean, it was terrible. I didn't know what I was doing, but I kind of got pieces together, and then it grew. The next show she did was a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger, and then we did a student-run theater program where we all did different things, and I was the one who had done shows as a costume designer, so I became the costume designer. And I just loved it. I love historical costumes. I love old movies. I love the 1940s. I love the fashions of the 50s and the 60s, and it just kind of all came together. And now I can't get enough of it. Whenever you look at the history of costumes, you can see different elements of the society coming in through the fashions. And we talk a lot about that in costume history or fashion history. And it's really hard to look at today's fashions and go, oh, it is this. It really takes several years, 10, 20, 30 years to be able to look back and go, this is exactly what it is. I mean, we're just starting to look at the 80s and the 90s now and go, this is kind of what it is. And it's very difficult because sometimes people try to buck the system and they don't dress the same, and so they're kind of a little wrench that's been thrown into fashion history. When you look at characters, you have to look at all that kind of thing, not just seasons and class level, but some of it has to do with their psyche or what they're not trying to say, so they dress differently so that you think they're one thing when really they're another thing. So there's a lot that goes into it. It just can't be, it has to be a brown suit. It has to be more than that. I think I have the best job in the world because it's different all the time. I get to work with the students. I get to teach so many of them a skill that for some people is lost, or that their grandmothers or their mothers wanted to teach them and they never wanted to learn. And now they come in here and they see all the possibilities of what you can do with your sewing skills, and they really love it. And I love being here because in another life in theater, I really enjoyed directing. But I was really drawn to the costume area, and so here at SMSU I get to do both, which is really rare for a costume designer to get to direct, and I know that, so I know I have it good here. And we really love it. We love the community, we love the students. The students become part of our life. They come over to our homes, they know our children, and it really is, it's a wonderful place.